Please marry me.
No, I can't marry a poor man like you.
In the busy city of Enugu lived a young woman named Amarachi. She was beautiful, very beautiful. People admired her everywhere she went, but behind her beautiful face was a deep dissatisfaction with life. Amarachi came from a poor family. Her father was a retired civil servant struggling to survive on a small pension. Her mother sold vegetables in the local market. Life was difficult. Many nights the family ate only once. Many mornings they woke up worrying about money. Growing up in poverty planted something dangerous in Amarachi's heart. She became obsessed with wealth. She hated being poor. She hated seeing her friends driving expensive cars while she walked. She hated attending weddings where wealthy women displayed designer bags and expensive jewelry. Deep inside her heart, Amarachi made a decision. She would never marry a poor man, never, no matter how much he loved her, no matter how good his character was. Money became her greatest desire, and unfortunately, that desire would one day destroy her life. At that time, Amarachi was dating a young man named Chinedu. Chinedu was not rich. In fact, he was struggling. He worked long hours as a mechanic. His hands were always covered in grease. His clothes were never expensive. His bank account was never impressive. But his heart was pure. Chinedu loved Amarachi with everything he had. Whenever he earned money, he spent most of it on her. When she was sick, he stayed beside her. When she was discouraged, he encouraged her. When she cried, he comforted her. The entire neighborhood knew how much Chinedu loved Amarachi. Many people even admired their relationship. But Amarachi saw only one thing: his poverty. Every time she looked at him, she imagined the luxurious life she wanted, a life she believed Chinedu could never provide. One evening, Chinedu gathered enough courage to propose. For months, he had saved money, skipping meals, working overtime, sacrificing his comforts, all so he could buy a ring. It wasn't an expensive ring, but it represented his love. Under a large mango tree, where they often spent time together, Chinedu knelt down. His hands trembled, his voice shook, but his heart was sincere. He asked Amarachi to marry him. For a moment, she remained silent. She looked at the ring, then she looked at Chinedu. Deep inside, she already knew her answer, not because she didn't love him, but because she loved money more. A few weeks later, everything changed. A wealthy businessman named Richard Okafor arrived in town. Richard was famous. People knew him, people respected him, or at least they pretended to. He drove expensive cars, owned several houses, wore designer suits, and carried himself like a king. The moment Amarachi saw Richard, her heart became captivated, not by his character, not by his kindness, not by his values, but by his wealth. She began imagining herself living in luxury, traveling abroad, shopping without limits, showing off her expensive lifestyle. The dream she had carried since childhood suddenly appeared within reach. What she didn't know was that appearances can be deceiving, very deceiving. As Richard began showing interest in Amarachi, she slowly started distancing herself from Chinedu. Her phone calls became shorter, her messages became fewer, her excuses became more frequent. Chinedu noticed the change. He tried everything. He asked questions. He begged for honesty. But Amarachi had already made her choice. One evening, she finally told him she could no longer continue the relationship. Chinedu was devastated. His world collapsed. He asked what he had done wrong. He asked if there was someone else. Amarachi could not look him in the eyes. Because deep inside, she knew the truth. The problem wasn't another man. The problem was greed. She walked away from the man who truly loved her, and toward a future she believed would bring happiness. As Chinedu watched her disappear into the distance, tears filled his eyes. Little did Amarachi know, that would be the biggest mistake of her life. 3 months after leaving Chinedu, Amarachi became the talk of the town. The wealthy businessman, Richard Okafor, had proposed to her. The entire community buzzed with excitement. People who once ignored Amarachi suddenly wanted to be her friend. Women admired her, young girls envied her, even some of her relatives praised her decision. The wedding was unlike anything the town had ever seen. Luxury cars filled the streets. Expensive decorations covered the venue. Important people attended. Money flowed like water. As Amarachi sat beside Richard during the ceremony, she looked around proudly. Deep inside, she believed she had won. She believed she had made the smartest decision of her life. She imagined Chinedu hearing about the wedding and regretting that he could not become rich enough to keep her. What she didn't know was that some victories hide painful defeats, and hers was one of them. After the wedding, Amarachi moved into Richard's mansion. The house was enormous. It had more rooms than she could count, marble floors, expensive furniture, luxury vehicles parked outside. Everything she had dreamed about was finally hers, or so she thought. The first few weeks felt like a dream. Then slowly the dream began to crack. Richard became controlling. He decided where she could go, who she could visit, who she could speak to, even what she could wear. At first, Amarachi dismissed it. She told herself that all marriages required adjustments. But deep down, she felt uncomfortable. The freedom she once enjoyed was disappearing. Without realizing it, she had exchanged poverty for a different kind of prison. As the months passed, Richard revealed his true character. The charming man she had fallen for began to disappear. In his place stood a man she barely recognized. He became cold, arrogant, quick-tempered. Sometimes he would insult her over small mistakes. Sometimes he would ignore her completely for days. Whenever she complained, he reminded her of the luxurious life he had given her, as if money gave him permission to treat her badly. One evening, after a disagreement, Richard looked directly into her eyes and said something she would never forget. He told her that everything in the house belonged to him, the mansion, the cars, the money, even the life she enjoyed. For the first time, Amarachi felt fear, not fear of poverty, fear of the man she had married. Months turned into years. Despite living in luxury, Amarachi became deeply lonely. The friends who admired her wedding only visited when they needed favors. The relatives who praised her marriage rarely called, and Richard spent less and less time at home. Most nights, she sat alone in the enormous mansion, watching television, scrolling through old photographs, remembering simpler days. Sometimes she remembered Chinedu, the man she had abandoned, the man who had loved her sincerely. For the first time in her life, she began questioning her choices, but by then, there was no going back. The door she had closed behind her remained shut. One evening, Richard returned home with another woman. At first, Amarachi assumed she was a business associate. Then she noticed something. The familiarity between them, the way they laughed, the way they looked at each other, the uncomfortable truth soon became impossible to ignore. Richard was being unfaithful. Days later, she discovered it wasn't just one woman. There were many. Different names, different faces, different relationships. Her husband had been living recklessly while pretending everything was normal. When she confronted him, he showed no remorse, no guilt, no apology. Instead, he simply continued living as though her feelings did not matter. The realization shattered Amarachi. She had sacrificed genuine love for wealth, and now the wealth could not protect her from heartbreak.